What's up, Internet? This is your Pogletter Girl, and today I'm super excited because I'm interviewing the very wonderful Eric William Morris. You may have seen him on Broadway in Mamma Mia or Coram Boy. You may have seen him on TV in Blue Bloods or As the World Turns. He was most recently in Ballad of Little Joe at Two River Theater. You may also know him as the Squip from Be More Chill, which has blown up on the Internet recently. Today he's going to talk to me about a spectrum of things, and I am very excited. So without further ado, let's get into it. So you joined Mamma Mia Broadway's Mamma Mia in 2008, which was about 2009, which is about 8 years through its run, right? Dates,
Yeah.
got it. What was it like joining an already successful Broadway show?
It was a really cool experience because when I joined up, and it was, I think we started rehearsal in like August 2009. So there's like 8 principal characters in Mamma Mia, so like 8 lead characters. And when I went into the show, they were putting in 7 out of the 8 people brand new. So the 7 of us got a chance to rehearse like we were starting a new show together. So we got a chance to rehearse for 4 weeks, which is kind of a long amount of time for getting put into a long running show like that. So we got to rehearse and build the show, and then the last week of rehearsal, they brought everybody else who was in the show in, and we got to work with them. And then I think we got like 1 or 2 days on the actual stage, which is like totally terrifying. And then we started, and I did it for like a year with like a break in there, but I did it for a year, and it was so much fun. I thought going into it, I'd never done a show for that long, and still haven't. That's the longest thing I've ever done something for. I thought I was just gonna like get sick of it after like a couple months, but that show was like such a blast, and the people who keep it going, like our production stage manager, his name is Andy Fenton. He would make up games for the cast to do, like in between shows, and it just kept the spirit of it so light. So it was like an absolute blast doing that show. I loved doing it. So that's what it was like.
Okay. So you have been in many a film screen acting thing. You were on Blue Bloods. You were super good description. You were on Blue Bloods. You were
Many film acting things.
yes,
Yes.
TV film acting things. Official title, technical term.
That's it.
Yes.
That's what it is.
You were on Blue Bloods. You were in As the World Turns. What is the difference between acting on stage and acting for TV and film? And what was it like transitioning between the two?
Love it. I love that question. That's a great question, because really, like, for an actor, it's people will tell you it's just this different thing, but it's really the same. It's the same work you do. You're doing the same stuff. The difference is the way it was put to me that I like always remember is a film acting teacher I had named Bob Krakauer, who's this really great guy who's been doing it for a long time. The thing that he said that always stuck with me is that when you're acting on stage, it's a medium for the words. So you're there to serve the playwright kind of thing. And when you're acting on film, it's a medium of behavior. So what gets picked up when a camera is on you like this is your behavior more than the words. The way he broke it down for me, and I always remember this, is like the average scene in a play, like a straight drama play on stage, like a modern drama play, could be anywhere, but it's an average of like, I don't know, 9 or 10 pages. Average scene in a television show is 5/8 of a page. So the amount of stuff that needs to be conveyed through your behavior becomes kind of the most important thing, right? So that was the main thing that stuck with me, is that when I'm preparing for something where the camera is going to be up there, is to really, more than anything, like get out of my own way and just listen to what my scene partner is saying to me, because that's the best way to kind of let your natural behavior come out. So I hope that makes sense. I think that makes sense.
It does.
Right?
Yeah, it
okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So I love them both, though. So.
Yeah. Okay. So you are a part of the wonderful world of Joe Iconis and family.
Yeah.
What can you talk about what it's like to work with Joe Iconis like that? Because I've seen some of the videos in preparation for this interview, and it's wonderful. But,
Yeah. It's
so
awesome.
talk about
He's
that.
he's become like one of my best friends. I met him in 2008, which was like 9 years ago. My God. And I auditioned for one of his shows called The Black Suits, which is this brilliant show about this suburban rock band, and I didn't get it. And I still give him a hard time about that. I still will ask him like when I'll hear back about whether I got the part or not. I mean, it was 8 years ago. So, but when I went into audition, he's like, "Hey, I have this other thing going on. It's called Things to Ruin, and it's a night of his music. It was like 20 of his songs. There is an album out if you want to download it. I know you got it, Faith.
I already have it.
Good.
Yes. It's on wherever you find music, you can find it. It's on all of the streaming websites.
Yep, iTunes, Spotify, go for it. But the thing about Joe is that he's like a genius. I mean, he really is. He writes songs that are so wondrously character driven, which for like an actor who sings, or a singing actor, whatever you want to call me, is the most rewarding thing in the world. I mean, there's this song called Party Hat, which is about this woman, and I brought it up.
It's my favorite song.
It's about this woman who's alone in her apartment, and she's like, well, I have nothing to do tonight. I gave away my tickets to the opera because nobody wanted to go with me. So I guess what I'll do is I'll just put like a little birthday party hat on my cat, and we'll dance around all night, right? So he wrote this song, and you're like, aha, that's funny. The song is like 7 minutes long, and it goes into like a verse where the cat speaks about what the cat is thinking.
No, it's the best.
And they and it's brilliant.
It's
and
the
so
best.
Stuff like that.
As someone who has been alone and someone who has a cat, those two things were wonderful.
Yes, spoke to the truth.
Yes.
Well, I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding because it's what he does with everything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that song "Michael in the Bathroom," from Be More Chill. I mean, he wrote a song about a situation that I think every single one of us has been in, just trapped in a bathroom socially. Like, I don't want to go out into this place. I just want to disappear here. And like the way that he brings truth out of that stuff is incredible. So the Joe Iconis and family stuff is we will do shows of Joe's songs in concert form, maybe on average like once a month or so at different places. Like we're going up to Barrington to do it on Labor Day, and we're going up to Vermont to do it for a couple of weeks at the end of September. And so where the Party Hat video, if you watch any of that stuff online, that's at a place called 54 Below, Feinstein's 54 Below, which is this kind of cabaret venue in Midtown New York, where a lot of people who do Broadway shows go and try out their new stuff. And so doing that with Joe and the family, it's like we all become really great friends. There's like anywhere between 5 or 6 of us to like 20 of us doing these things, and you get to know his songs, and it feels like you're part of a band too, which is awesome, which I grew up playing in bands. So it's a unique experience to feel like I have like a home base as an actor in New York with those people. So yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, so segue, we're gonna keep with this Joe Iconis theme and talk about Be More Chill, which is
Be More Chill.
Yes, if you internet people, if you don't know what Be More Chill is, go. Why don't you at this point? Why? It's a musical written by music by Joe Iconis, lyrics by book by Joe Trace. Book by Joe Trace. Yeah. Music and lyrics by Joe Iconis. Book by Joe Trace. Premiered at True River Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey. Which, go check that out. They do great stuff. And it is based off of a book that came out in 2001 by a guy named Ned, whose last name I do not know. But
Zini.
Yes. So yes, and you play the Squib, which is, how did you get involved with that? How did you get involved with this?
Absolutely, yeah, great question. I being a friend of Joe Iconis, I've gotten to see him in various stages of him developing new musicals, which is really one of the most exciting things to be a part of, is being a part of a musical as it's growing from an idea into a first draft, into a reading, which is where you get up at a music stand and you have a script in your hand and you rehearse for like a week, and you just do the show where you say the words and sing them. And that's like one of the first steps in developing it for a production, which is what we did at Two River like 2 years ago. So I got involved in that because I'm going to say in 2000 and when did we do 2012, I got an email from Joe that was like, hey, I'm just writing this new musical. It's called Be More Chill. I just wrote a few songs. It's kind of the first draft. You're going to be playing this character called the Squib. Don't worry about it. Can you just come over to my house and read it? And I was like, okay. Or I was just, come over to my agent's office and read it. So we went to Joe's agent's office, like a group of like 8 or 9 of us who were all friends, and wrote and read the script. And then when it came time for a song, Joe would like get up and walk over to the piano and be like, I think it goes like this. And so seeing that, I remember being like, this is such a weird, unique, crazy story. And I absolutely will do whatever I can to like be a part of this if it continues to develop, which is another thing where a lot of musicals, you'll never see them. They're these beautiful ideas that these writers have, but they never have an opportunity to put them up. So Two River was incredible, and they jumped at the opportunity. They actually commissioned the Two Joes to continue writing the thing so that Two River could put it up in a production. So that was a cool experience. So when I found out that they continued to develop it, we did a full reading where we were singing, and then it was like, hey, Two River is going to give us a production. I was like, great, like get me in there, make sure that I can audition for the thing. I'll like re-audition for it. I don't care. And I did, and I ended up getting it, and it was just a blast. It was such a cool, fun, unique show, and the album like really speaks to the spirit of the show. Like you get a full sense of the show listening to the album. It sounds like a rock album, first of all, which is really refreshing, but it also sounds like the show that we did. Like you could listen straight through and be like, oh, so this must be where this character did this, and like it fills in the gaps in a cool way. So
Yes.
it's a very special place in my heart with that show. It was so cool.
If you have not purchased or downloaded the album, again, stream it, buy it, wherever. It's on my phone. It also is out in a CD, which I have named 2019 the year of the CD, the same way 2016 was the year of the vinyl. So
Is that right? You think CDs are coming back?
I mean, it's just so I can be ahead of the time at something. So whether they come back or not, yes.
You heard it here first. 2019, the
Year of the CD. Yes. Awesome. So Be More Chill, as we said earlier, has kind of blown up over the pretty recently, actually. I saw it when it premiered in 2015 at Two River. OG.
Yeah.
Been a fan of it since the beginning. And so how do you feel about it getting all of this attention about 2 years after it premiered?
Well, it's been a very unique thing because I'm going to say in February, Penn State did like the first college production of it. Yeah, they did a production of it, directed by my very dear friend John Simpkins, who runs the musical theater department over there, and he is one of Joe's best friends too. Like he directed Blood Song of Love that we did. He directed Things to Ruin. He started working at Penn State. He was like, I want to do Be More Chill. So we all went out there. I don't know, 4 or 5 of us went out there in February and watched it, and it was unbelievable and the coolest thing. And it was like the first step towards, can we license the show? Which meant, can we do it? Can we make it available for like high schools and colleges and community theaters and regional theaters around the country to buy the rights to and do? So somewhere along the line, I don't know what happened, but I have a feeling that somebody from Penn State with the script put it online, right?
They did.
So, right? Am I right? Like,
I have it illegally downloaded on my phone.
Right. So you can like get the script.
Don't illegally download things. I'm not condoning it.
Totally illegal. But also in the age that we live in, a bizarre and wonderful thing happened, which was that when people found out that you could get the script and that you could buy the album, it kind of blew up in a cult way. I'm gonna say in like April of this year, like March or April, and it's been since then. Like it's shot the album up the charts. It's like behind like Hamilton, like for sales on soundtracks. It's really on iTunes. It's really cool to see. And also there's been a bunch of fan art like online with like people like finding pictures of our production and like recreating them and like writing fan fiction and making videos to the songs, and it's so cool to watch. And like I think the hope is that with all this renewed enthusiasm, it will lead to us trying to put up another production somewhere, or them trying to put up another production. So keep churning out that like the good vibes about this show, because I think it deserves to be like seen again and again and again. So
if you guys want to connect with it, it's on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, social medias everywhere. #BeMoreChillMusical. Yes.
Yeah.
These are my great little transitions here.
All right. Great.
So, switching gears slightly, you were most recently in Ballad of Little Joe at Two River Theater. You came back to Two River Theater to do Ballad of Little Joe, which is, I saw that too. It's an amazing story. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like? And also, I have another question about that. Never mind. Yeah. Just what was Ballad of Little Joe like?
Was that another question about?
No, the other question comes next. It's
great.
A completely different question.
Sure. The Ballad of Little Joe was a beautiful, beautiful experience for me, and it just ended like last month, so I'm still thinking about it all the time. And we recorded a cast album, which will be coming out probably in the next few months. So that's cool.
Woohoo!
Keep posted on that. That is a wonderful, wonderful show written by Sarah Schlesinger, wrote the book and the lyrics. Mike Reed wrote the music and the book. And John Diaz, who's the artistic director over at Two River Theater, also collaborated on the book, and he directed it. So after doing Be More Chill, John Diaz, who's the artistic director at Two River, and I formed a nice relationship and a friendship. And he was like, hey, I'm working on this musical. Do you want to come in and do a reading of it? So I did, and I immediately fell in love with the story and the music. And it's such a wonderful story about this woman who in 1872 is crossing the country to try to make enough money to bring her son out west so he can grow up well. And through a series of events, she ends up having to disguise herself as a man in order to kind of not get taken advantage of at this time in the frontier. And so she ends up in this town called Silver City, Idaho. It's a silver mining town. Essentially, she stays there for the rest of her life. Nobody knows that she is a woman disguised as a man. So that's the bare bones of the story. And the music tells that story in such a wonderful, dramatic, and beautiful way. It was an awesome experience. I really loved it. So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so what did you enjoy more playing? So you played the Squip in Be More Chill, who was turned into the bad guy.
Yes.
Didn't start out as the bad guy, but sort of morphed into the bad guy as we went along in the story. And then you played a character named Jordan Ellis in Ballad of Little Joe, who ended up being the hero. Kind of. I mean, yeah. He was a good character.
Yes, he did well.
Yes. So what did you enjoy more, playing the villain in Be More Chill or playing the hero in Ballad of Little Joe?
This was those are such two different things, because when I was thinking about this, the difference between the two, being at Two River, doing these two different shows, when I played the Squip, the thing about playing the Squip was that I only existed in one character's mind, and only he could see me. And there were so many scenes where I was on stage with him, and he wasn't allowed to look at me, and nobody else could see me. So I was literally walking around on stage just speaking stuff to myself, and it became a weirdly isolating experience where I saw all these people on stage at a Halloween party, or all these people on stage in the middle of a dance number, and I was just weaving around like a creep through the thing. So it was almost like doing the show is I had no gauge of how it was going over with the people I was on stage with, or because I was really doing my own thing. And a lot of the time I was 15 feet in the air on a scaffolding, and nobody could connect with me.
So it could have been going horribly and you wouldn't have known.
Yeah, well, or just it was tough to connect with people. But then doing Little Joe, it was the exact opposite. It was such a very real drama where I had a scene partner who was my wife and a scene partner who was my best friend. So that felt like a different challenge. But they were both such unique experiences that there was no preference as to it. But every time you start a role or you work on a new project, there's always something that you gotta wrap your head around. And for me, it was all the time I had with myself being the Squip to figure out ways to add to the story without having anybody to play with. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Pros and cons to that.
What's that?
Pros and cons to that, though.
Pros and cons. Yeah. I mean, it was also such a blast.
You could essentially do whatever within reason and not have to worry about other people's reactions, which is kind of fun.
Very true, very true. And also, I'd have to rein myself in and be is it too much when I walk over here and do this crazy thing? And Stephen Beck, our director, would be yeah, maybe don't do that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I relate.
Yeah.
But just in everyday life, I'm always is this too much? People are, yeah, maybe.
Yes.
Be more chill, Faith. Be more chill.
Oh.
Yes. Okay, so you're in an upcoming Netflix show called Mindhunter.
Yeah.
Can you promote that?
I would love to promote that. So
yes.
Mindhunter is the series on Netflix that was created by David Fincher, who's one of my favorite film directors. He did Fight Club, he did Seven, he did The Game. He did Social Network. He's really brilliant, and he has adapted this book that is a true story about how the FBI first tried to profile serial killers and the steps that they went through to try to be like, okay, what are the details about this person that makes them kind of fly off and methodically murder people. So I'm just in one episode as like a parent of this girl who I don't want to give away too much, but there's this very like in-depth long interview scene where I'm on camera having to speak about the odd behavior I find in this girl's teacher, in my daughter's teacher. So it's a very it was a very, very wonderful scene, a wonderful experience, and I think the show is going to be super cool. He also did, David Fincher started House of Cards, and it feels, so it feels like dark in the same way and super interesting. And the trailer just came out, I was watching the trailer and I was like, oh, this is awesome. So the whole thing is going to come out in October, I think. So stay tuned for that, because I think it's going to be creepy and interesting and wonderful.
That's awesome. All right. So, purely for fun,
give it to me.
I hear you're a fight director in your spare time.
You? Yeah,
Yes.
right. Yeah.
What does that job entail? How does that work?
So being a fight director, and I haven't had terribly much experience actually like building violence in shows, but I have had a ton of experience teaching the fundamentals of it and being what's called a fight captain in a show, which is when anybody on stage gets punched or kicked or stabbed or shot or thrown off a cliff or something violent like that. They have to call in a fight director to make sure that it's safe and repeatable, right? So to make sure that the actors are doing it and can continue to do it.
So no one actually gets punched or kicked or stabbed or shot or thrown off a cliff.
Exactly.
Standard stuff.
Standard stuff, because when you do shows on stage, you usually in professional theater do it 8 times a week, right? So you have to be able to do it 8 times a week. And so what a fight captain does is they make sure that all of the original fight choreography is maintained and safe, and they run every fight in the show before every performance. So 45 minutes before a show starts, all the actors who are involved in fights come out on stage in their regular everyday clothes, and they walk through all of the fights in the thing. So I actually did that on the Ballad of Little Joe. And there was a number of fights in that included an axe and somebody throwing somebody upstairs and punching him in the face. And I got involved doing that maybe, when I was in theater school. So it was 12 years ago. I was in school at Circle in the Square in New York, which is a conservatory program that I loved. And the guys who assisted the stage combat teacher were like, hey, we're starting this new thing called Broadway Classrooms. We're going to work for this company teaching these things. Would you like to assist us? Because they saw that I was interested, and I was like, great. So I've been doing that since, teaching classes on the fundamentals of stage combat, and I think it's totally fascinating, and I love doing it. And I think it also is in line a lot with the storytelling that you do as an actor. Really, it's it has the same fundamentals of all that kind of stuff. So I love doing that on the side too. Yeah. Fun
Awesome.
question.
Yes. Okay, last question.
Oh no.
I know, right? We're just having so much fun.
Yeah.
Did I write this down? I didn't. We'll see if I can remember it. What advice would you give to a young performer or someone who is interested in doing theater as a career?
Yeah. That I've been thinking about this question. I truly feel like it can hit you at whatever time in your life where you just know this is something I want to do for a career. So the only advice I can give is based on my own experience, which was that when I was in high school, I loved being in the plays, and I didn't know that until I was 15. And our drama, I took drama as an elective, and the teacher there, his name was Oki Chenoweth, this is a brilliant man. they were doing Hamlet, right? And I was like, oh God, Hamlet. Just like, fine, boring. And I got completely addicted, and I ended up showing up to every rehearsal. And I auditioned, and I got the part of the English ambassador, who has 5 lines at the way end of the show. He comes in and says, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. And that was like my entire part. But I kept showing up because it was just so fascinating to me. But then by the time I was like applying to colleges, it didn't feel like I knew whether or not I wanted to make theater a career, right? So I went to Loyola College in Baltimore, which is a liberal arts school that had just started a theater major, right? So I went there, and I majored in theater, but it wasn't like I knew what I wanted to do with it. So I had like a whole college experience. I did all the shows at Loyola. I majored in theater. I graduated, and I kept doing like community theater during the summers at college. And I met a man whose name is Stephen Rice, and he was like, hey, do you want to do this like with your life? And I was already 21 years old, and I was still like, I don't know. Like I have no idea. And he's like, well, maybe you should continue studying. There's this school. It's called Circle in the Square. It's a 2-year program. It's not a master's thing, but it's intense training, and it will give you a sense of what it would be like to live in the city. And so I applied there, and I got in there, and my experience there was, at that time, was like, yes, now I know I want to do this. So my advice would be this. If you like wake up every day and you're like, man, I want to do this. It's like inside of me. I can't deny that this is what I'm doing. Then essentially, like, you're already doing it, So find all the opportunities you can to learn as much as you can about everything in the theater. And if you decide when it's time to go to college that a college training professional program would be for you, then I'd say go for it. Because I think everybody has their own experiences. And if somebody tries to tell you to do one thing and you don't feel like it's right, then you'll figure it out. So keep asking that question. And the best advice I could give is that if you want to do it, you will absolutely figure out a way to do it. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't or that it's too difficult, because that is nonsense. That's my advice.
Awesome. That is great advice.
Because, here I am sitting next to my pigeon Flo, like, living the life,
Okay. All right. So those are all the questions I have. This is the longest interview I've ever done, by the way.
Yeah, is it too long?
No, it's totally fine, actually. I don't know how. We'll check right now. Oh, no, it's not going to tell me. All right, I'll just...
I feel like we did like 25 minutes at least, right?
I mean, I don't know. I have no concept of time.
Neither do I.
It's terrible. All right, so where can people find you and your work, and can people connect with you via... I know you don't have an Instagram, but...
Yeah.
Yes.
I know. I guess I need to get that. Yes, please. I'm on Facebook. You can Google me and check out a lot of videos that I've done, a lot of songs I've sung. You can download stuff that I've done. I am on Twitter, but not a lot. But you can still absolutely reach out to me. The Eric W. Morris. I will absolutely answer you. And if you'd like to do interviews like this, maybe we'll even do one. Yeah.
Yes, but don't steal my questions, random internet people.
Nope, can't. Already answered them.
Don't do it. Yes. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
End the recording here.
Dude.
Hold on. Wait.